Well, the big issues in politics in the last week or couple of weeks, trade wars are upsetting the markets. The markets are worried about escalating trade wars, and they have escalated, especially in the last few weeks, and especially with China, Europe, Canada. I mean, all of our major trading partners. And then socially and somewhat politically, there's been strong protest from many angles and sources against the separation of these illegal immigrant kids from their parents when they get caught. One thing to deal with the parents, they should be, it's against the law, but to have the children be the ones to most suffer, very few people see good in that, and Trump's had to reverse his policies on that, frankly, and we still don't know how we're going to deal with it altogether. To me, these things come down to facts versus ideology. Yes, there's a good reason that we should be looking at trade agreements. Ever since World War II, we came out of that war the victor. Europe had been largely destroyed. Japan the same. We helped reconstruction for those countries, and ever since it provided military support. And we did allow more favorable trade agreements to help them recover. Well, that should have been a policy for several years, not forever. So it's right to address this. But these trade agreements are complicated. People don't realize, China's subsidizing a lot of their exporters actually gives our consumers a better deal through Walmart and stores that that get these goods through. So do you want higher inflation? Do you want consumers to pay more? So there's two sides to that story. Yes, we import a lot from them than they import from us. And I think that should change. But again, you have to look at where specifically the agreements are unfair, not take a broad hammer to this whole thing. The Euro tariffs of 10% on cars, well, guess what? There's a lot of American production in Europe for Europe. And so it protects our U.S. manufacturers and marketers over there against Japanese competition. And that was the main point of it. It wasn't so much to protect against U.S. exports, because we do produce a lot over there, just like we want them to do more over here. Germany, we're looking at, hey, we're buying too many cars from there. Those are mostly luxury cars. Germany doesn't have much competition. It's between all their brand names and a few French and English and Cadillac. And Cadillac really just isn't that attractive to a lot of U.S. upscale consumers. If we wanted to sell more cars, we should sell more BMW-like cars, and we don't choose to. So how much good is that going to do with tariffs on them? And is it really going to make a difference when our own consumers have a strong preference in the luxury market? Pickups and SUVs is where we make most of our profits. We already have a 25% unfair tariff against importers. And almost all the production we buy here is from there. So there's nothing really to change there. And we, again, are the unfair ones here. So again, I would rather look at the facts. Where is it unfair? Yeah, dairy tariffs from Canada, totally unfair. But across the board, most of the tariffs are very minor and not that big a deal. Why have countries duking it out? Why have the markets worried about we're just going to have all-out trade wars like we had in the Great Depression and like I've been predicting in the last few years, and especially in the new book, 0 Hour? Globalization and trade have peaked years ago, and we're going to see decades of contraction. We don't need to feed this. It's already naturally happening. We need to fight it, if anything. Now, the immigrant issue, this one just kills me. Yes, we've let people stream across the border, especially illegal, for decades. Well, we let that happen. We could have enforced it much more. When you don't enforce a law, people don't take it seriously. And anybody can see that in Mexico, with much lower standard of living and drug wars and violence and all types of stuff, of course, good people there barely making it would want to move here and build a better life for their kids and get a better education for their kids in English. So this is a natural motive, and there should be a process to it, and people shouldn't be allowed to just run across the border uncontrolled. No question about that. But we have been complicit in this, in the turnaround and just have, oh, no tolerance, and again, the social outburst has not been against apprehending and deporting illegal immigrants. It's been against separating indefinitely them from their kids, and sometimes forever, not even knowing where they are half the time. So again, we need to look at the facts, not just the ideology. Immigrants are bad, therefore we have to go 100% against them after encouraging them. Look, we would be more like Europe, with much slower demographics ahead, and Japan even slower, if we did not have such strong legal and illegal immigration. And no, these people are not frickin' criminals, damn it. Look at the facts. Illegals are less likely to commit crimes and et cetera than our own citizens. Legal immigrants are even less likely. So get off this crap that these people are a bunch of criminals. Of course there's some, but every population, our own population, has plenty of criminals. And we have more people in jail than any country in the world. So this is hypocrisy here. Now, it's over. Immigration peaked first in 1991, then kind of a second peak in 2000, and has fallen sharply ever since. Deportations back in 2012 peaked at 410,000. Now they're down to 240,000 and falling. The total apprehensions at the border, catching people coming in illegally, peaked at 1.6 million back in 2000. Guess what? They were 240,000 just recently, averaging 21,000 a month, where they used to be 134,000 a month at the peak. All of this is peaking. The most important fact, plain out simple, the illegal immigrant population peaked back in 2010, I think it was, 2007. 11.78 million. They have fallen since. There's been more illegals leaving than entering since. We're down to 11.3 million. The illegal population has dropped 4%. We are not seeing a flood of illegals coming in. So we're going to fight these problems with immigration. We're going to fight these problems with trade, imbalanced trade. We need to look at the facts and deal with the facts and correct what's actually wrong, and not just take, again, a blunt hammer to this whole thing. It is disrupting our society. It's disrupting our markets. It's not a good way to go about it. I'd like to see things change here, because these policies do need to be addressed.